No, but I'm going to give you a better story.
Okay, perfect.
This guy was facing a very serious charge where he was supposed to go to prison for years and years and years and years and years. And he also had this little tiny charge, a misdemeanor, where he was supposed to do 90 days in jail. And I don't know why the prosecutor just didn't dismiss it, but they wanted to go to trial. And I said, all right, well, he's already done 90 days. Like, if we win, we get nothing. If we lose, he's already done his 90 days. It doesn't matter. And he had this crazy story, and I'll tell you the non-confidential part, where he was fleeing the police. And so they pulled over the car, and he just bolted out of the car and jumped in a river and swam away. And the police were like doing a manhunt for him because he had this other really, really, really like attempted murder type charge where they were looking for him. So there was flashlights and dogs, and he was in the middle of this river in Minnesota in like November.
Oh, damn.
And hypothetically, he would have testified if he wanted me to put him on the stand. Because he's like, I don't care if I lose. He wanted to just go to the jury. And he had like the reeds, and he was like breathing through one of them. And he stayed in this river for like 3 hours while the police were looking for him. And then they just gave up and walked away. And he walked out. He was like, I got to give up. I have hypothermia. He walked out like, you got me. And he looked around, and all the cops are gone. And that's what we went to trial on.
That's awesome.
And won.
Of course. What the hell's going on out here? Thank you everyone for joining us for another episode. I don't know when it's gonna drop, but this is the first late night episode of Fueled by Spite. I got a guest with me tonight, and we've all got a friend. We don't all have a friend. Some of us have a friend that we can get him to do damn near anything if phrased properly. This particular friend is, I bet you can't, I bet you won't, or I know someone who's done it better. The fuck that person has, I'm going to do it better. That I'm going to do it better is Mr. Michael Schatz.
Yeah, that's right.
So you and I, Tamika actually pointed this out to me. We've known each other longer than we haven't.
Shit.
Well, okay. Apparently
well, I don't like that.
That's news to you.
Not a big fan.
But was anything I just said wrong?
Unfortunately, no. That's exactly right. In fact, you guys have gotten me to do some pretty dumb stuff simply by saying, you can't do that, or I bet you won't.
Bet you can't.
Yeah.
It's like it's the schoolyard version of I double dog dare you.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I can't turn down a double dog dare.
I've never lost a double dog dare, ever.
I think that the events of this evening, like I said, late night version, fueled by spite after hours. It's quarter after 11, which for a couple of parents, granted it's not a weeknight, but
this is like 4 a.m. for those of you who are not parents.
Right.
All right.
But so a little foreshadow, because we had talked about doing this, like, okay, hey, you're in town, might as well do a live thing. Right. Taylor, I don't want to do a Zoom call for you. So we go to town, hey, I'm introducing you, if you will, to a couple of our mutual friends and people that I've crossed paths with, and meet the mayor of the Fairburg of Arlington, Mr. Jim Ross, owner of the establishment we're at, Hearsay, also a well-respected attorney. Hey, Mr. Ross, I've got this friend here. He's licensed in Minnesota, completely bullshitting. He's thinking about getting licensed in Texas.
No, I'm not. But
no, that part was the bullshit part. He's thinking you're not getting licensed anywhere outside of Minnesota. Are you looking for a co-counsel? And to which you reply, no. He says, will he bring money or cases? And you say,
I'll bring wins.
I'll bring wins.
And I'm going to hand it to the guy. It was the best comeback I've ever heard, which was, well, I already have wins.
I got wins. Shit, that's all I bring to the table. I bring wins. But it's...
So I'm not getting hired.
Well, I mean, I don't know. It's just... It was a rough first step. We all make missteps at the beginning. I mean, I think that might be part of, fueled by spite. Like, right. Hey, we're going to test about water with both feet. We're going to jump in. What if you fuck up? Well, then I fuck up.
I'm going to win the next one.
Exactly. Actually, this will be a little segue into the first question. Tell me about the time you fucked up.
So, lawyer, my very first trial, I was wet behind the ears, didn't know what the hell I was doing. I went to trial against this very experienced lawyer who was a good friend of mine, and he kicked my ass at trial. But him and the judge were both trying to convince me, this is like getting way too in the weeds, to do the jury instructions a certain way. And I was basically like, fuck it, I'm going all or nothing. Like, I'm going to either win or I'm going to lose really bad. And I did win lose really bad. But here's the thing. The way they wanted me to do things, I went to the Court of Appeals, and long story short, I ended up winning and kicked that guy's ass at the Court of Appeals. So it was my first win, asterisk. If I had done it the way they wanted me, and both the very experienced prosecutor and very experienced judge were like, Mike, what are you doing? Like, don't do it this way. And I'm like, I'm pretty good. I'm going to do it this way. And because of that, because I fucked up, but because of the way I did it at the Court of Appeals when I won, my guy got off scot-free, which he should have. Didn't get deported. A whole bunch of big things that saved this guy's life. Instead of having to go back for another trial and redo everything and spend another 10 grand, the guy just got off. It was just case dismissed. Because
on the appeal.
Yeah. So I fucked up at trial. I lost. I was a rookie. I don't know what the hell I was doing. I was just going in balls deep. Well, we should edit that part out. I was just going in hard, and I ended up losing. And I fucked up, but because of the way I fucked up on the appeal, I kicked the guy's ass. It felt good.
Without going into the weeds too much, what did you do that made you lose?
I just did everything wrong. I mean, it was my first trial ever. The way I questioned the jury. It was my first trial ever.
Okay.
Yeah. And the guy was going to get deported because of it, and it was just a whole big deal. But I did a lot of things wrong, and I'm not sure I can quantify them. But the one thing I did right was just blatantly tell the prosecutor and the judge to basically fuck off. I'm going to do it my way, and because of that way, on appeal.
Now, it was the understanding that you do some public defense work and some what's the opposite of that?
Private.
Okay, yeah.
People pay me.
Yeah, was this public or was this did this guy hire you?
This is back when I thought I was only private. I was a small firm, so I thought I was really good because I'm a private attorney, which turns out to be total shit. Like private attorneys originally, they don't know what they're doing. As a public defender, I gained so much experience and I got so much more better. Yeah, I said that at trial. It's 11:30 at night. Yeah, it was just bad. It was just rookie mistakes, honestly.
Okay.
I'm so far past that now.
I hope so. How long have you been in practice?
13 years.
13 years.
Yeah.
Why are you a lawyer?
I blame my mom because she always said, I think she duped me pretty well. I argued a lot. And she'd say, you argue so much, you should be a lawyer. And I think she kind of brainwashed me and I just became a lawyer, honestly, because she said I should.
So when you went freshman year into undergrad, you went with the intent of being a lawyer?
Yeah, I was pre-law.
Okay.
But it was fun because, as you know, we weren't the best students. And a lot of our friends would say to me, like, you, lawyer? Like, really? Like, even when I got into law school, people would message me like, what the hell are you doing? You can't be a lawyer. And which just, I mean, I was on a roll in law school. I was dean's list. I was all those things. I had scholarships just to basically say fuck you to all those guys. And it felt so good.
Were you those things in undergrad? Honor roll, dean's list?
I'd rather not talk about it.
Fair enough.
I graduated.
Man, it's funny you say that because, like, legit, my dean's list letter is around here. Yeah. My awards of honor roll from chiropractic school are around here. My tenure, and I think that's a really good word to describe my foray into undergraduates. Because, I mean, as you can attest, I was goddamn Van Wilder. Like, when are you going to graduate? When they stop offering me classes and tuition checks.
I don't know if anybody's put this in the podcast yet, but we used to say, oh, a lot of people take 7 years to graduate undergrad. And you would say, yeah, they call them doctor. And then you're a fucking doctor.
Doctor.
That was not what we foresaw for you in undergrad.
A lot of people didn't. And it's funny too, like, funny looking back on it. There was a lot of stressful moments in those 7.5 years of undergrad, in those 7.5 years of my 4-year degree.
Yeah.
But we had talked about it earlier today, in talking about like, hey, we got to do this podcast, and I gave you the kind of once over, the what brought this to fruition. Well, at one point, my mom goes, why are you going to go to chiropractic school? Just so people call you doctor? Yeah. I mean, that's part of it, but yeah, for notoriety, to look at me, for lack of a better word.
For all the normal reasons. Yeah.
Exactly. And granted, I stumbled and fell through undergrad and then made it into chiropractic school and like, all right, well, shit, now I got to put my literal tuition money where my mouth is.
It was the same for me. And I kind of dicked around in undergrad and I had fun, played rugby and drank a lot. And then when I got to law school, I realized I couldn't do that anymore. I had to actually.
Well, shit, they let me in here.
Yeah. If I don't do well, I'm going to lose the scholarship and I'm not going to be able to afford law school.
Yeah. Now that they let me in here, I told people I was going here. And man, if I fail out of this or get kicked out of this, or for whatever reason, this doesn't work.
Plus, like all those people I said, like really, like they would get Facebook messages and be like, "You're in law school, really?" And I was like, "Yeah, fuck you guys."
Yep.
And not only am I in law school, I'm going to graduate in the top of my class. I'm going to be one of the best fucking lawyers. Like, screw you. Oh, I hate those guys.
Who told you couldn't do it? That really stuck with you. Who did you want to prove wrong? You don't have to name names. I don't know what.
Well, I was gonna say I actually forget his name, which it's a good thing. But yeah, there was a guy, was specifically, he was in law school as well. He graduated undergrad with us and he went to law school somewhere else. And he kind of just had that mentality. And remember, he was one of the people that messaged me being like, I can't believe you're going to be a lawyer. I can't believe you're in law school. And that guy just fueled me. I just hated him so much. Um, and I think he's a lawyer right now. And God, I hope I face him in court one day. Um, but anyway, no, I mean, it's a long line of that, just not just law school, but like I was like a runt growing up. Like I had two older brothers. They used to beat the shit out of me. I was always the smallest kid in my class. Like that just was one of those things that people always said I couldn't do things. And it was just I had no choice but to try to prove them wrong because I was
Right.
so little. There was no other way to do it. So I think it's just one of those things that goes back to childhood of being 4'2" in like sixth grade and trying to, play on the basketball team or something.
So if we're going back to childhood, give us your origin story.
I'm the youngest of three boys, and my two older brothers. I always thought if you were the youngest of two, youngest of three, the two younger brothers would gang up on the older brother to make it even. That's not how it worked in my life. The two olders would just beat the shit out of me. And then when I finally started being good at things, and I became like a pretty good wrestler, they came back and said, "You're welcome. You're welcome for beating the shit out of you all those years. It obviously paid off." But no, I mean, youngest of three, divorced parents. My mom was a stay-at-home mom up until the divorce. Then she started working low-wage jobs. Dad every other weekend type of thing. Who's a fantastic person, but I only saw him every other weekend.
2 Christmases though.
That's fair. Yeah, that was great. Got a snowboard.
Snowboard.
Yeah, but like seriously, nobody was around, so I just ate whatever I wanted. So my lunches were like ho-hos and Twinkies, and I didn't grow. Turns out if you don't eat real food, you don't grow. Who knew?
Weird.
So I don't think I hit puberty until like junior year of high school. I was this little tiny kid, and it didn't work out well for me.
I mean, you're a successful attorney. Seemed like it.
I grew eventually.
Fair.
That helped. Now the one thing I do remember though is because I was always so little is when I got to wrestling, they let you fight people your own size. I was like, this is amazing. Are you kidding me? Like, I can compete with this
Right?
guy. So that was my main sport, and that's what really drove me to
Fight people your own
I
size.
loved it.
Because your brothers are.
My brother's 6'5", like 220. I didn't have a good chance against
I don't know
him.
what the camera angle does, but you're just shy of 6'5".
5'11" and a half.
And a half.
6'5", 220 MMA fighter. He won most of the time.
Fair.
Most of
the time. It's an important most.
There's a few that I snuck in there.
It's all about the words that you say, right?
Yeah.
So again, fueled by spite, the impetus for this whole thing, and I've said this on previous episodes, is when you go along and you're doing, whether it's an entrepreneurship thing or a sports thing or whatever, God willing, you're going to be met or blessed with victory.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like as much as as much as everybody wants to be the entrepreneur and everyone wants to be the success story, and there are always cheerleaders for you when you're climbing that mountain. Now, not to say that either of us are at the top of any mountain, but we're certainly above where we started. And it seems like once you reach a certain level of success, those people that were your cheerleaders all of a sudden become your detractors.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think that is? Why are people so excited to cheer for you when you're attempting to do well, but then when you do well, they flip?
Maybe not a popular answer. I think people are inherently self-interested. That whole like Hobbes thing where everybody wants to be at the top themselves. And so when you're down there, it's easy to cheer for you, right? Yeah, I hope you do well. And then you rise to their level and you start to rise above them and they get jealous. They get envious. They don't want to see that. So then, yeah, like I've had people, I didn't want to be an entrepreneur. I didn't want to open my own firm. It just kind of, I don't want to say I was forced into it, but it happened and I'm glad it did. But it wasn't something I ever strived for. And then people were cheering me along. Like you said, yeah, you should do that. And then as it went along and I got better and not to toot my own horn, pretty damn good. Then you got the people who, like you just said, are suddenly not so enthusiastic anymore. And I think it's just sort of a self-interest thing. And who can blame them? I would probably be the same way. Trying to help people along and whatnot. But then if they got to my level, I'm going to want to be better than them too. So that's where it comes in of, no, suddenly you're here. I need to be here. And you're here. I need to be here. And that's where I'm still at.
Do you put any credence in be better than yourself Be better than you used to be.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Or
it's
like you're only competing with your past self, because it doesn't sound like that's who you're competing with
oh fuck no.
only.
No. There's that. I mean, who everybody's got that. You got to be better than you used to be, and there's a certain level of communicate yourself because that's the intrinsic motivation. But also, there's other lawyers in my hometown that I absolutely am trying to beat every day. I see them in court. I've taken friendly polls of other lawyers of who's the best in town, and when they're ranked above me, I get pissed, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna see what he does. I'm gonna compete against him. I'm gonna be better than him by next year, and I am climbing that rank. I'm not the best yet. I'll fully admit that, but I'm getting there.
There are more people behind you than there used to be.
Hell yeah.
It's funny you say that too, though. Like I used to take a friendly poll,
Yeah.
if you will. Going through chiropractic school, what do? We learn how to adjust, right? I had everybody in my class just adjust me.
Yeah.
Because I need to know who's better than me.
I wish it was that easy for me.
Well, yeah, I'm like, hey, argue with me. No, I got you beat. Like obviously, yeah, if it's difference of employment, for lack of a better word, difference of career choice. Okay, what does a chiropractor do? We adjust. Okay, well, try it. Oh, that's like try. That's like ooh, that guy's got something on me.
Yeah. I went out and I'd ask my like prosecutor friends. I'm a defense attorney, and I'd say, who's the best defense attorney and why? And they would name certain people. This one guy's really good because the prosecutors love him because he's really good at deals. But so and so is really good because the judges love him because she's so nice. But you're better because of trial tactics. And I'm like, well, okay, I got 1 to 3. I'm gonna beat the other 2. I'm gonna be nicer than that person. I'm gonna be better to the prosecutors than that person. And I would, I'm still working on it. But it's nice to see those benchmarks and be like, all right, I gotta improve on this. I gotta improve on that. Because I want to be the best overall.
Right.
Hands down. No doubt.
And then, so trying to be the best overall, you said 13 years in practice?
Yeah.
What was your worst year?
Every year behind me has been my worst year. My first year, I was working at a general litigation firm. I was doing like pig semen cases. That was terrible. It was my worst year. As I went up.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you heard it right.
We're going to need to elaborate on pig semen.
There's worth a lot of money. We're going to move right past that.
Is it super bad? Like, I thought there'd be a semen database with semen everywhere.
You would think that. So anyway, so then as I moved along and things got better and better, I got personal injury cases. Okay, well then that was my best year. Now it's my worst year. Every year is better than the last. Honestly, every single year is twice as good as the last year behind me.
What metric are you using to make that claim? Not that claim, but to make that statement.
Well, I can't use money. I wish I could use money as the benchmark, but in terms of trial wins, in terms of client reviews, in terms of like what people say about me, I ask for reviews. I ask for like pretty blunt responses, and people give them to me. Whether it's good, bad, or ugly, and they've been getting always better and better and better. Trial wins, like I'm diligent about keeping track of that. Like how many trials I've won versus lost. I mean, it's.
You got to watch the scoreboard,
yeah,
right?
Absolutely, because I'll say that defense attorneys should not win cases. I stand by that. There's just no way we should. The prosecutors have all the power in the world. They choose which cases to charge out originally. They choose what level of charges they want to go at, and then they can make all the bargains. They can make offers. We make an offer. They tell us to fuck off. Like and then as we get closer to trial, if something were to get derailed, there's a speed bump, if there's a witness issue, the prosecutors can just dismiss outright. They have all the power in the world. Now we have beyond reasonable doubt. Cool. It's if that was taken seriously by jury panels, we would win a lot of cases, but it's not. So there's not a single case I should win going to trial. And I win, this sounds bad, but I win above 50% of my cases.
Mm-hmm.
I keep a very diligent list. And I stand by that defense attorney should win maybe 5-10% of their cases.
Really?
At trial. Prosecutors should win 99% of the cases. They have all the power. There's no way.
So this is legit like a baseball thing. Like if you're batting 300, if you hit 3 out of 10,
that would be fantastic.
You're going to the hall.
That's my opinion.
You're batting 500.
I'm just barely above 500. Yeah. Which again doesn't sound that great, but in terms of defense trial victories, like 2 verdict, that's big.
If you think the average defense attorney should be batting 300, why are you batting 500?
I become kind of like obsessed with winning. It sounds bad, but like I don't eat or sleep during trials. Like I'll get a couple hours of sleep maybe. I've had they're friends, so I guess they might be biased, but when I get my closing arguments, they're like, holy shit, like you were really just emotional. And I'm trying to just pick apart any little thing I can to win. If anything I can do to win, I'm going to do it. I hate losing. And it sounds bad. People are going to judge defense attorneys for this. I don't care if they're guilty or not. I just want to win.
Mm-hmm.
And I think everybody has a right to a fair trial. And there's a whole bunch of reasons, but really, I just want to win. And so I'll do anything I can. If it means I have to destroy some witness, if it means I have to object to things, if it means I have to
throw yourself on the mercy of the court.
Yeah.
Why do you want to win? What drives you to win?
Knowing that I shouldn't win and knowing that people expect me to lose, and then overcoming that, and just the sheer joy of like seeing the shock on people's faces when you get the not guilty verdict or when you get an outcome you weren't supposed to it's the adrenaline, is the excitement, and it just feeds me. Like I don't, but I could get
Right.
like 10 losses in a row.
Oh,
But
okay, yeah.
and then you get that one win, and it's just enough like adrenaline. If anybody's ever been like skydiving or something, that just feeling you get, that's how I get when I get a win that I shouldn't have gotten. I don't want to get a win that I should. Like, it was easy, like a layup. Okay, cool. But
Make me work for it.
yeah, it's the wins I shouldn't get. Love it so much.
What was the hardest thing you've done in business? That might be a better way to phrase it, that you didn't necessarily anticipate.
The hardest thing for me was when I opened my own office. I wasn't ready for that because I always had support staff. I always had people that were being paid by somebody else. So when I opened my own business, it was just me. So I was typing my own letters. I was, doing the envelopes myself. I was doing everything under the sun that ran a business for court, which is, a lot of office work. And so that was hard for me to focus on the legal aspects of a court case that I needed to focus on while doing all the procedural bullshit behind the scenes of writing letters, stamps, envelopes, postage, probably said that already, but a whole bunch of stuff, just paying the bills, making sure electricity is on, all that stuff was really difficult because it took all my attention away from the
being
legal
an attorney.
aspect, from being an attorney. Yeah, I was an office assistant more than I was an actual attorney. So, I said earlier, every year got better, but I guess, about halfway through my career is when I opened my own firm, and that was probably the worst year just because it was just spinning my wheels. And I couldn't focus on what I wanted to focus on. Like, you're a chiropractor. You don't want to be dealing with all that stuff. You need to deal with people. You need to help people. You don't want to be worrying about, sweeping the sidewalk or something.
Opened your own, and you were end all be all. You answered the phones. You unlocked the door in the morning. You locked it up at night. How long were you in business before you got another staff member?
Maybe like 2 years or so. And it was a halftime person. And I did that for a while until I kind of fell into a full-time person, just short term, and things were going so damn smooth at that point that when
was this the same person, the halftime just part-time grew into a full-time?
No, it was like it was a half-timer, and then she left, and I got another half-timer. And like I said, at one point, just kind of accidentally for a summer, I think that my half-timer was in college, and then for the summer became a full-timer. And then when it came time to go back to college, she goes, "Yeah, I'm gonna go back to halftime." I'm like, "No, absolutely not. This is so good. There's no way I can go back to this. It's like flying first class. You can't go back to coach."
I'm not licking another envelope.
The more I passed off on my secretary, paralegal, whatever you want to call it, which is great. Like you said, like you're handing off some of these duties, but then every once in a while things would hit the fan about that. Like she would do client interviews for me at first just to make sure they were things I wanted to take on at all, whether they were a good fit or not. And all of a sudden I'd be meeting with people that were just batshit crazy. I have nothing to do with them. They fit the black and white, what she should have brought him in. It makes sense. But if I had been there just for the initial phone call or something, no chance of coming to my office. I'm sorry. Like, some people are just, I can't represent them. I'm just not going to do it. So
give us a quick example.
Well, so remember we were talking earlier about how you were surprised about how much fentanyl is in Minnesota? Well, there's also a lot of meth, and there's a lot of other big drugs. And so, all of a sudden people come in and they got these stories just about what's happening in their lives, and they want to sue, they want to sue Bill Clinton from like 10 years ago, and they want to do it. And I'm like, how are you? It's not even close to what I do. But they kind of passed the gatekeeper, which greatly upset me. I had to have a little conversation about what kind of cases we do. But yeah, just people who should probably be civilly committed, and yet they're coming in and talking to me about civil rights infringements and stuff. And I'm like, there's no way I can help you. And then here's a problem. On the phone, that's fine. Once they're in my office meeting with me, you can't get them out the door. There's no way to physically get them out. Just sort of gradually sort of chauffeur them away. It takes 20 minutes to get them out the door at that point, because you don't want to piss them off. You don't know what they're going to do.
Started off, you were with another firm?
Yeah.
Why did you want to start on your own if you didn't want to start on your own?
I mean, Pig semen's great and all, but not my. No, just kidding. So I was
I heard pink semen, and I
nope,
thought like there's
pig.
lots of semen stories. There's our reel right there. There's our little teaser.
A lot of money in pig semen. Now I
At
was
least
at
in Rochester, Minnesota,
I was at a small town firm and it was fine, but
living in a lonely world.
just small town girl, it wasn't great. And I was married at the time, and she would literally say like you're just miserable at your job. Like you come home angry, you're not angry, but like just you have no enthusiasm for the work. And I love being a lawyer, I really do, as much as I bitch about it sometimes. But at that point, I was just a mundane, boring job where I would sit at my desk. Now I'm in court all day, every day, and I love it. Like I wasn't doing what I wanted to do. It was just the
Hmm.
wrong type of law for me. And so when I was able to switch into a more, personal injury and criminal defense, where I'm in court all the time advocating, which is like what I like, I jumped at the chance. Like I said, I didn't want to open my own firm, but I sort of just tripped into it, and it worked out great. So uh, it's got to be a good fit for the right job.
Fair.
Yeah.
So now we're going to fast forward,
Mhm.
and you shared with me earlier you're looking for an associate.
Yeah.
What are you going to do that's going to make life different for your associate than it was for you as an associate?
So when I came in as associate, I kind of said what I wanted to do, and they're like, "Well, yeah, maybe, but you're going to do this to start with because that's what we need you to do," which is fair. I get that, but it never progressed. I was there for 5 years, and it
Oh,
never
damn. Okay.
progressed from where I wanted to go. And so when I'm interviewing associates, I ask essentially what they want to do, and to be fair, they're going to do some of the grunt work. They're going to do some of the stuff that I need them to do. But if they're not going to be a good fit long term, I'm not going to hire them in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas these guys just hired me because they wanted somebody to do their bitch work, and never progressed from there. And they're great people. I'm not trying to bad, but they were fantastic. They taught me a lot. But uh, how I'm going to do things differently is I'm going to find somebody who's a good fit, even if it takes me longer. I've been doing the work myself for 13 years now. I can do it for another year if I need to. And so I'm not going to hire the wrong person. So I want somebody that fits within my model, because I have a very specific model about how I treat people and how I want my clients to be treated, and the outcomes we're going to get, versus just charging them up the ass or something like that just because we can. But also that it's stuff they want to do as well.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, they're not going to be around long term, and it's gonna be a bad fit.
Fair.
Yeah.
So one thing, like I'm normally kind of like, as we near the end of the interviews, I always ask people, hey, where can we find you? Because obviously we got business and stuff to, promote around here in DFW. Obviously we're in Rochester, Minnesota. If someone needs you, something, whatever. Long story short, I don't follow a lot of, attorneys on Facebook or Instagram, but obviously I follow you because you're a friend.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that is kind of intriguing to me, there's obviously from a healthcare standpoint, there's a HIPAA kind of thing. You've obviously got, client confidentiality, things like that. But I do always find it interesting when you post, what do you call it, the end of the case, when the judge makes their ruling or something like that, or they
The
give
jury does like the not guilty or guilty verdicts.
yeah.
Yeah.
But then doesn't the judge kind of write something out, or am I mixing up?
No, it's a
Am I
verdict
mixing up
form that the
outcomes?
jury. So they either have to sign guilty or not guilty. So there's
Hmm.
two forms. They fill out one of them and sign it. And so then at the end of the case, you get one or the other. And the last one you're probably referring to was like 3 counts. It was not guilty, not guilty, not guilty. So
Yes.
I had all three, and I could take those verdicts and post them. That's not confidential.
Okay. But where I was going with that is it's interesting. Again, I follow two attorneys, you and our other friend. And in all reality, I don't know if you post anything on there, but it's interesting because you post I don't want to say like the behind the scenes, but the reasoning
Mm-hmm.
and your plan of attack and how it came out. Like, do other attorneys do that? Is that just something you do? Why did you start that? Because from an outsider looking in with zero knowledge other than just what I've gleaned from you in conversation, going through law
Yeah.
school and just being your friend, like it seems like something that's not terribly common.
So do other attorneys do it? I have no idea. I wouldn't know, and I don't care. But why I do it is I've always every time I talk about a case, people want to ask me like, well, why did the jury do this? And I can only speculate a little bit because the jury's in a locked room and we don't get to hear. But based on what I assess for the case, I can get a pretty good guess. And I also do jury questionnaires and stuff of why they decided. But people want to know why. I always want to know why. So when people say, oh, you got a not guilty, cool. Well, or you got a guilty verdict, cool. But why? So I always try to give a little bit of a well, what happened here? And there's only so many facts I can give, as you know, like you just pointed out. But if things happened in open court, I can talk about it.
What is open court?
If you were my client and you came to me and said, "Yeah, I did this and I killed so and so," I can't talk about that. But if it was talked about in court in front of the jury,
Okay.
like somebody testified to it, that's open court. That's open to the public. That's no longer privileged communications.
Okay.
So I can talk about that. So sometimes I try to give synopses of what happened, and frankly, sometimes it's just me bragging about I didn't think I should win, and here's why I shouldn't have won, but I won anyway. And sometimes it's just, I mean, people watch Law and Order, people watch CSI, and they want to know what's going on behind the scenes, and so I give like a little bit of a recap if I can, to say this is what this case was about, and here's why it came out this way.
The last question I have.
I'm a little scared right now.
You shouldn't be, because I'm sure it's something you get relatively routinely. How true are the Law and Order, the criminal shows? One, and two, what is the what is the most logically and procedurally sound show, and which one is just absolute fucking garbage?
None of them are accurate at all, to be fair. I'd say Law and Order, like the old school Law and Order with Jack McCoy, who I love, is the best, and it's not even close to accurate, but it's the best. Shows like CSI are so far fetched, and the juries are so tainted by that it actually helps the defense attorney because they expect models on high heels to be finding hairs.
There'd be semen everywhere,
Yeah,
like we said.
Pink semen.
There's a semen
There's
database.
pink semen everywhere. That when that doesn't happen, they hold it against the prosecutor, which actually helps me. But yeah, those shows are so far fetched. It's crazy. Doing jury selections, always questions from the state, like, "Oh, you like these shows? Why? And would you hold it against us if we don't have 10 billion different forms of forensic evidence and blah blah blah?" But none of them are accurate. It's really fun.
Not a one.
It's really fun sitting through a trial, and I'll lean over to my client and be like, "It's just like Law and Order, huh?" And you're like, "This is so boring." They can't believe how boring this is. Yep.
So I'm sorry. I said that was the last one. I got one more that just popped into my head. Have you ever had anyone on the stand blow up like Jack Nicholson did in A Few Good Men? You can't handle the truth.
No, but I'm going to give you a better story.
Okay, perfect.
This guy was facing a very serious charge where he was supposed to go to prison for years and years and years and years and years. And he also had this little tiny charge, a misdemeanor, where he was supposed to do 90 days in jail. And I don't know why the prosecutor just didn't dismiss it, but they wanted to go to trial. And I said, all right, well, he's already done 90 days. Like, if we win, we get nothing. If we lose, he's already done his 90 days. It doesn't matter. And he had this crazy story, and I'll tell you the non-confidential part, where it was fleeing the police. And so they pulled over the car, and he just bolted out of the car and jumped in a river and swam away. And the police were like doing a manhunt for him because he had this other really, really, really like attempted murder type charge where they were looking for him. So there was flashlights and dogs, and he was in the middle of this river in Minnesota in like November.
Oh, damn.
And hypothetically, he would have testified if he wanted me to put him on the stand because he's like, I don't care if I lose. He wanted to just go to the jury. And he had like the reeds, and he was like breathing through one of them. And he stayed in this river for like 3 hours while the police were looking for him. And then they just gave up and walked away. And he walked out. He was like, I got to give up. I have hypothermia. He walked out like, you got me. And he looked around and all the cops are gone. And that's what we went to trial on.
That's awesome.
And won.
Of course. Man, that was a way better ending than what I was going for. Dude, also, I appreciate the time tonight. It is far past our bedtimes.
Yeah, we got to go to sleep.
Yeah, you've got a flight to catch in the morning. But again, dude, I really appreciate the time. I'm going to give you one thing, and I mean this in the nicest of ways, that you didn't win. Your brother reached out to me to be on here before you did, but honestly, by like minutes, like less than 60 minutes. You both reached out, dude. I want in. I'm doing this. Hey, saw the first episode.
But where was he on your list of people to interview?
He wasn't on the list.
Where was I on your people?
You were on the list, and you were above the other council on said list. Again, man, I really appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time.
Yeah.
We'll get you out of here so you can get on that flight. Again, guys, thanks for watching. Another episode of Fueled by Spite. Man, I don't know where this thing is going, but every time I do this, I have a great time. Appreciate you guys watching. We'll catch you on the next episode.